Hi, I'm Rob, one of the Coat Paints founders, and I've been roped in today to paint my front door, which is behind us. So it's a wooden front door. If you're looking at UPVC, we've got another video about that, so there's a link to that. But otherwise, yeah, I'll just take you through a few bits that we've got for the job this morning. It's probably going to take about an hour to kind of prep it and get the first coat on. And then we'll leave, a couple of hours between coats before the last one. So a few things we've got today. So I'm going to start by kind of sanding it. So I've got this little sanding kit, which has got different grades of sandpaper in there. So rough to smooth. So that should do the job of just taking that first layer of paint off and all the bits. Coat paint. So we're going for David Rose, which is a really nice dark black with a hint of blue in it, so it's a darker colour, not dissimilar to kind of what we've got behind, but a lot more deep and kind of rich kind of in tone. So yeah, it's the exterior eggshell we've got there. A few different tools, so a couple of brushes so we can get into the corners of all the woodwork and the frame and stuff. Foam roller, game changer for painting wood, so it gets a really nice finish with an eggshell paint. So if you haven't used one of these before, top tip, use one of these. And what else? Just a screwdriver really to get the door furniture off before we start painting. Oh, and some deck tape just to get a really nice clean line around the glass on the door. So yeah, I think I'll take you through it step by step, probably about an hour. Not an hour's video, probably a few minutes, but an hour for me to do it. And then hopefully, yeah, it'll make a difference to what the door looks like. So better get on with it. So the first thing we're going to do is take the door furniture off, which is really easy. It's all just kind of screwed in at the back. So we'll take that off, just makes it loads easier to sand it, clean it down, get it taped up, and also keeps the furniture paint free as well. So yeah, I'll crack on and do that first. So I've taken the door furniture off, most of it, a couple of bits I can't be bothered to try and do it because I'll probably make more of a mess of the wood. So I'm gonna tape around a couple of the bits, but yeah, the majority's off. So next step is going to be just to clean down the door. So it was last painted maybe three years ago, something like that. So I'm just going to get all the dust off it, all the kind of marks and stuff before giving it a sand down. So yeah, give it a clean first. So after we've cleaned it down, I've just given it a wipe with mild soapy water. Bought this sanding kit thing. Never used one before. You can just use normal sandpaper, but yeah, there's a few different grits in here. So I'll open this up and see what we're looking at. So yeah, probably going to want a medium grit, so maybe 160 to 180 probably be good. The door's been painted before as well. Depends what's underneath it. If it's a really thick kind of oil-based gloss, you definitely want a kind of coarser grit to take more of that off, but this is just a water-based emulsion paint, same as what we're going to use. So yeah, I'm probably going to pick about a 180 grit just to take that top layer off, rough it up a bit so that the top coat sticks to it properly. So yeah, get on with that. Question we get a lot actually is about primer. So we're going to do a UPVC door tomorrow, which we'd say 100% of the time you'd need to prime. With this door, it's had a coat of paint on it before, just a water-based emulsion, so it's going to be absolutely fine. We're not going to prime it, we're just going to sand it and go straight on. If it's like a really old oil-based or a heavily painted door, you might want to use a primer just to make sure that top coat sticks and you get the final result that you're looking for, but absolutely fine with kind of just a normal painted door like this one. So one thing to just be aware of when you sand in, try and follow the grain of the wood. So this door's got some of the grain going kind of down that way and some going this way. So if you follow that, you'll just make sure you get the smooth finish at the end. So I'm giving it a light sand down using the old sanding block, and you can see kind of what's come off. So just taking that top layer of old paint off, just to give it a bit of a rougher surface to for the new paint to stick to. So I'm going to give it a wipe down again, just warm soapy water in a second, just to take all of that dust off the door. And then I'll be moving on to taping up the windows to start with, so making sure we get a nice clean line around the windows, and then also the door furniture that I couldn't bother to take off or couldn't work out how to take off. We'll just stick some deck tape around that as well, just to make sure that stays all clean before we apply David Rose on top. So depending on how particular you are, I'm really particular, and quite a lot of dust came off when I was doing the sanding. So I'm just gonna get rid of all that so that it doesn't kind of make the paint gritty and stick to the paint when I put the paint on. So I've let it dry after I've kind of cleaned it down. So I'm just gonna use this bristly nozzle thing and get in all of these grooves and just make sure all the dust's out before I start putting the paint on. Cool, so we've finished all the prep, clean down, sand, clean down again, hoover if you want to do that. But the door's in a good place now to take the final top coat of paint. So we're probably going to need to do 2 coats actually, but we'll see. So I'll get this top coat on. This is Coat's exterior eggshell product, so it's important to choose a paint for exterior specifically, so it's a lot more robust to kind of the elements, sun, UV damage. It resists kind of the changing colour that you might get from sun rays and things. So important to choose the right product to make sure it lasts a long time. And with an eggshell finish as well, you get that slightly off matte. It's nowhere near a gloss, but it's slightly shinier than a matte, which just looks really, really classy and will last kind of years and years. So a few different tools, small brush, which I've got. We've chosen David Rose, which is a dark bluish kind of off black. Not dissimilar to what's on there, but it needs a bit of a freshen up. So we've chosen that. A couple of different brushes for kind of getting in grooves and stuff, and then I'll use the foam roller for kind of the bigger, flatter areas of the door as well, just to get that really, really smooth finish. So yeah, on to the painting. So I've filled in kind of the gaps with the little brush, and then I'm moving on to this foam roller. It gets called a gloss roller. Obviously we're not using gloss, but yeah, game changer for doors, skirting boards, things like that. It just gets a really, really smooth finish. So I'm going to fill in the gaps on the flat stuff now using this bad boy. Cool, so that's the first coat on. Use the roller for kind of these big bits and a little brush for the detail. Probably need to give it 2 to 4 hours depending on the weather. It's just started raining, so we're going to give this a solid 4 hours just to dry out, and then we'll come back and finish up with the final coat of that exterior eggshell. So the door's been drying now for about 4 hours, so it's really nice and dry on the first coat, so we can get on with putting the second coat on. One thing that happens sometimes is you get some drip, so try as hard as you can, it happens. So I'm just going to sand briefly this one off. So I've just got really, really fine grade sandpaper, and I'm just going to get that back down to a completely smooth finish before I apply the next coat of paint. So I'll do that, and then we'll get on with rollering and finishing around the edges of the door. So that's the final top coat on now, which is great. So we just need to leave that to dry for 2 to 4 hours or so. But something we always get asked about is tape. So always take the tape off when the paint's still wet. So not when it's kind of fresh, but now it's had like 10 or so minutes to dry off. If you take it off now, you'll get a really nice clean line. If you leave it to dry, you can sometimes peel the paint off with it. So we're going to take all of this off now. So that's it, all done. Painting a wooden front door. So bit of a sand and a clean down, couple of coats of Coat's exterior eggshell product. Furniture's back on, and yeah, it's looking great. And this weatherproof paint is going to look perfect for years to come. So if you're painting a UPVC door, slightly different. So we've got another video for that, but otherwise, yeah, crack on, go for it.